Hello everyone, I'm Wendell Jones and welcome to our edition of the program, The Platform. On this program, we are discussing health issues because every weekend we talk about health issues with Bianca Nygard, who is a staple on our program. And Nygard Inc. has been doing a wonderful job in seeking to educate the public on issues regarding lifestyles. And we have been dealing with nutrition, we have been dealing with matters of body fitness, and today on our program we're going to do just that, talk about the fitness of women's bodies, particularly in the Bahamas today. And our guest on the program today is a young lady, Dekel Nesbitt, who is from Bowflex Barbie Fitness. She is one of the fitness gurus in our country. Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Very good. And Bianca, you continue to get wonderful guests to come on this weekend program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yes. She's been trying to get
Fit.
It's a lifestyle,
she
yeah.
has a vegetable garden. You haven't brought me anything from your garden for a little while.
Oh, yes. We're in the recrop season right now. It's October, so.
You've had a lot of rain, so the garden should be looking really good.
Yeah,
eh?
next week, Mr. Jones.
Next week, okay, very good. Next week we're going to put some things on the table.
You have some decorations.
Yes. So, Bowflex Barbie Fitness, what is it all about?
Well, it is my brand. It initially started out when I was in college. I came home on summer break and I decided, hey, I was already deep into fitness. I said I wanted to do a summer program, and I did. I did it for 2 consecutive years. By the second year, it had grown to about 100 people. This is in Freeport, that's where I'm originally from. And once I finished college, I knew that I wanted to continue fitness. So I started working in my dad's company and I did fitness on the side. And I just developed Bowflex Barbie Fitness. And now I do small group training. I also do corporate programs. I do online coaching. And I have an online workout video series as well.
An online workout series?
Yes. Last year, I finished it last summer. It was fully Bahamian produced, so all the recordings and everything was by a Bahamian producer, Bahamian soundtrack, all the participants are Bahamian.
But first of all, you had to be trained, eh?
Well, yeah, I got my certification through the International Sports Science Association. And I also, I started working out very young, at 14. So a lot of my stuff was self-taught, and my family was very active as well, so I owe it a lot to that.
Were you a good athlete?
I was. I played sports my entire life. I played 2 years of collegiate volleyball as well.
Volleyball in Grand Bahama?
In Missouri.
In Missouri. And you played for your school team or something?
Yeah, I played 2 years in college.
2 years in college? Come on. And then you went into...
And once I transferred from Missouri to Mississippi, and that was the first year, between that transition was the first year that I did my fitness boot camp. And I also did training when I was in Mississippi as well. I didn't play volleyball in Mississippi anymore. Okay.
So why do you call your thing Bowflex Barbie Fitness?
I actually can't take credit for the name. My friend, when I was still in Missouri, I was getting ready to go to the gym, and he asked me, he's actually from Nassau. His name is Shavano Thompson. He asked me what I was getting ready to do, so I said I was going to go to the gym, and he said, okay, Bowflex Barbie. And I was like, I like that. And it became my, at the time, Twitter handle, my social media name. And so it was my social media name for a while. And then when I decided to do the camp that same summer, I figured why not name it Bowflex Barbie's Boot Camp. And so that was the name of the camp. And when it developed into programs and an ongoing thing, I decided to name the brand Bowflex Barbie Fitness.
Now, I see you have little muscles here. And so you've been in competitions, haven't you?
I did compete. I am this is my second year as the Bahamas National Figure Champion.
Bahamas Figure?
Figure is the division, and yeah, I'm the national, this is my second year being the national champion.
And how many women competed there?
This year it was 2 of us. Last year it was about 8 of us, yeah.
So what do you do to get your muscles looking like that?
A lot of training.
A lot of training.
A lot of diet and a lot of training, yes.
Mr. Jones, I see both Flex Barbie videos on the social media all the time, and I was wondering
And that is why
who this woman was, yes, and especially because I have done a little bit of what you do, but I did it totally different. There's this huge tire on the beach.
A tire?
Oh gosh, how much does that weigh? It's so big. This huge tire, and then you have to take it on the beach and you pick it up and you flip it over. That's something that you do, and that's something that I did. And I needed so much help, and I was like, I felt so proud of myself. I was like, oh! And I couldn't, I did it once. And so then I watch her going, and she's like flipping that thing, flipping it like it's nothing, like it's a feather. I can't believe it. But I mean, it's good goal.
I hope people are understanding what you're saying because you're talking so fast.
Because I'm too excited.
You're so excited.
So what kind, sorry, Mr. Jones, so what is it? It's like a huge tractor tire?
Well, no, the one on the beach, I don't think that was the tractor one. It probably was like a mid-size, but they can be up to like 100 pounds, some of them. I think that one may have been like 70, 50, 60.
100 pounds? So
They
it's
can
a
be,
tire from a
big tractor.
big tractor. And you try to lift that?
Yeah, I did.
She flips that like
You flip it. You don't have to lift it. You
Or
flip
you
it.
just flip it over?
It's all about the technique, getting under it, getting the grip, using
Okay.
your legs, not just your arms, you know.
Okay.
So there's a whole thing about dedication, because on the videos online, then I always see her working out, obviously, but even sometimes I think that the posts are interesting about sometimes you don't want to work out, and then you have a nice support system that pushes you to work out, and then you're always thanking them for actually helping you to achieve your goals and stick with your program. Because sometimes we take it so for granted that this is just easy for people, but it's really a huge dedication. And like I was telling her, she must have a lot of mind over matter. I know that I was telling you last week about that I can't be around food that I'm not allowed to eat because I want to eat it. But when you're training to be something to that level of a bodybuilder, then you really have to have a huge mind over matter with what you're allowed to eat. And you're surrounded by food all the time.
Yeah.
How is that for you?
Well, luckily for me, I'm able to, with what I do, I can control most of the time what I'm around. Like unless I go to, which I did a few weeks ago, go to like a social event and you don't know who's planning it or what's gonna be there. Sometimes you work with kids, like I did a few weekends ago, and they bring kids pizza and it's like everyone can eat it, but I'm like, no, I can't eat it, not yet, not today. But for the most part, I'm able to control what I'm around, or I try to keep my food with me, and that helps me. So if I see people eating, I can at least eat what I have, you know.
But you need really a balanced meal, don't you? So tell me, how do you balance what you do? Because we were talking about carbohydrates the other day and the intake of too much of it. And that it's, so everything in moderation, right?
Yes, bodybuilding is a little different when you're in preparation for a competition. You do manipulate your diet. Sometimes it's not 100% balanced. For the most part, you do have carb manipulation. So you do have carbs, but there are carbs from different sources. So vegetables are carbs. So for 2 weeks, I may not have any potatoes, no rice, no pasta as my carbs, but I'm having vegetables as my carbs instead. So I'd increase the amount of vegetables, keep the protein at what it should be, but just not have any like bread or rice or.
So what are you, in the vegetables, what kind of carbs are you talking about?
Vegetables are carbs.
Yeah, fine, but what kinds of vegetables, I should ask?
I do green leafy vegetables, so spinach, lettuce, sometimes green beans, but for the most part spinach, because I like when you cook it, it's
When
small.
do you know how to make the switch?
What do you mean?
From the vegetables to potatoes and rice?
Typically, the safest thing is not to go more than 7 days without potatoes, or just for energy levels, because you get your energy from carbohydrates. And if you're still working out and not having the potato or the rice and stuff, then you don't have that energy to work out effectively. So I usually go about 5 to 7 days, no more. Especially if I feel my body is breaking down before then I'll have some earlier. But
How do you know when your body is breaking
you
down?
know, if you have a good sense of body awareness, then you'll know. Your energy levels are really low. You're tired all day. extra sore.
Body awareness.
Yeah.
So you must know your body.
You have to. Even just with training, you have to know the difference between having a sore muscle and bringing an injury on. Like you have to know the difference between the type of muscle pains. If it's like a shooting pain that is injuring me, I have to stop. I'll stop right there and walk away from the whole exercise, the whole workout. If it's a burning pain, I know it's just the muscle getting fatigued, and I can keep pushing. So yeah, you have to have a good body awareness.
October is Cancer Awareness Month in the Bahamas, and there are a whole lot of women who are afflicted with breast cancer from this BRCA gene that is so prevalent among Bahamian women. And diet is important, exercise is important. And let's speak to it a bit, because you've had friends and relatives who were afflicted with cancer, eh?
Yes. My family actually has a history of breast cancer. My mom and one of her sisters and two of her nieces were diagnosed. I lost my mom in 2008. She was a survivor for 10 years. So I grew up, since I was about 5 years old, I've known her to have breast cancer. And I think exercise and fitness is what gave her such a long, 10 years with the disease, because she was always very active even before. She got diagnosed very young. She passed at 46. And same thing with my aunts. They got diagnosed early 40s, late 30s. And so I actually started my fitness journey after her passing. It was kind of my therapy. I wasn't interested in competing or anything like that. But she's always been a very strong advocate for breast cancer awareness and early detection and prevention. And I think exercise is the most controllable way to, combat being diagnosed, because naturally when you exercise, you lower your estrogen levels. When your estrogen levels are lower, you're at a 30 to 40% lower risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer.
I think Bahamian women would like to hear that again. When you exercise a lot, you
lower your estrogen levels.
Your estrogen levels.
And by lowering those estrogen levels, you're already at a 30 to 40% lower risk of developing breast cancer. And it also helps lower your insulin levels, which also helps to defeat
What is that?
Your insulin. Mm-hmm. It helps regulate your insulin so that you're at a lower risk of developing breast cancer as well.
Do you work with people who have the disease?
I've never, trained them?
Yes.
No, I've never worked with, regularly, no. I've done stuff with the Cancer Society here and in Freeport, and I've had events with survivors, but not on a regular basis, no.
And what age group do you start with in your fitness program?
The youngest I've had was 16, and it goes up from there. Whoever's willing to come. I have people about to be 60, so yeah.
16 up to 60?
That's 60 is the oldest that I've had, yeah.
But your fitness program targets women. It's for, the classes are for women.
The classes I do are for women. We work on target areas that women want to focus on, overall wellness as well, diet, and it's just a more comfortable environment, I think, to be all women versus a mixed group, which may work for some people. But I know a lot of women are very sensitive to working out amongst men because they feel like they're being watched, or they feel they have to be cute, So,
So you decide that you're not going to have men in your gym at all?
In the classes, yeah.
In your classes, eh?
No.
It's a distraction for the women, and for men it's a distraction too.
I think for the men it's just a show sometimes.
It's just a show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you've been doing this how long?
Oh, I started my first program in 2012, so yeah.
2000.
But I've been in the gym. Next year I'll make 10 years since I started my own personal fitness
But doesn't
journey.
it make sense for you to work out with men?
Why?
Because men are into muscles and weights and all of
I mean,
that.
because I started when I first started working, I worked out with my dad. He took me into the gym, and him and my brother, we worked out. They taught me pretty much the basics that I went off. And then I've always trained by myself. So I can't train with men. I train with my boyfriend.
Okay.
But it's just a preference, at least for my classes. When I work part-time at Albany as well, I train men there, but for the most part, my client base is women.
Okay, let's take a break here. This is the platform, and we are speaking with Ms. Nesbitt from Bowflex Barbie Fitness. We'll come right back.